Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to you, depending on whichever part of the world you are tuning in from. Well, I'm excited to welcome you to yet another promising edition of the Forex Morning Mastery with Sheriff Daramola. It's quite an interesting 24 hours for all of us in this community as we have been taking advantage of some significant move in price action over the last 48 hours, actually, as we have seen how the dollar had increased significantly in value over since the beginning of the week, again, even across all the major financial assets. And in preparation for today's trading session, I have conducted a comprehensive analysis of all of the assets on our watch list. And in fact, yesterday I did share an update as to how we are going to be managing our position. And in fact, we are going to be looking into the details on that one in a moment. So since the beginning of the week, we have been monitoring three financial assets, which includes the XAUSD, which is popularly known as the gold spot. And of course, we've been looking at the USD JPY, and then we also included the US All Spot in our watch list for this week, and all of them have been doing pretty well in the last 24 hours. So we are going to be looking at how we are going to be managing our existing positions while we also review the current market structure in such a way that we can potentially take advantage of more opportunities during the London and the New York session today. For those who are joining us for the first time, you are highly welcome on board, and I'm very glad to have you around with us. Well, what we simply do here is to come together as technical traders in anticipation of both the London and the New York session, where we come to review our existing position if we have any and see how we can strategically position ourselves ahead of both the London and the New York session. So once again, you are highly welcome. Glad to have you around, and in fact I encourage you to stay tuned in through the course of the session so you don't miss out on any of these insightful ideas we shall be deliberating on today. And try as much as possible to be part of our subsequent editions, as the more time you spend with us here in this community, the better you get in understanding how this works and eventually be able to use the information you have gathered here to make your own independent trading decisions. So glad to have you around, and with that being said, here we shall be diving right into the business. So I see a couple of comments here. I see comment from Majun Arun. Good morning to you, Majun. And okay, Majun says he's made $720 from XAUSD. That's great news there. Glad to hear that, and I do hope you're moving your stop losses accordingly, as we are normally doing this community. So let's run through what's really going on in the market right now. And as usual, the first thing we are going to be doing this morning is to check on the economic calendar. And as we all know, that this fundamental factors often manifest on the charts in technical patterns and price movement. By monitoring the economic calendar, we can identify potential correlations between key economic releases and specific technical patterns on the chart, and hereby giving us a valuable information that can make us position ourselves in such a way that we can capitalize on any potential move prior, during, and even after this event. Now, for this week, we have been monitoring features from both the United States and the Japanese economy, basically because these are dockets that will be affecting the assets on our watch list. And for today, Wednesday, September 27th, we do not have any high impact event actually, but I will be including the medium impact event, as we have an event we are looking forward to from the United States, which will of course give us another clue into how the US dollar will be doing during the second half of this week. Now, if we include the medium impact event, let's see what we have here. You will see that we have four events actually, but three of them is more of the durable goods order. And for those who don't know what the durable goods order is, well, this is an index released by the US Census Bureau, and it measures the cost of orders received by manufacturers for durable goods, which means goods planned to last for 3 years or more, such as motor vehicles and appliances. Now, this is a data that is considered sensitive to the US economic situation, and in fact, the figure shows the state of the US production activity, and generally speaking, a high reading is considered as positive for the US dollar. Now, let's look at what is going on here. So we have the previous data for the durable goods order, that is for the month of July, which came in at minus 5.2%, which isn't that good at all in that case scenario, but we have economics projecting that the data that will be coming in for the month of August is going to be at minus 0.5%, which is a very commendable increase, a expansion in that sector. And with what we are looking forward to in this case scenario, this might likely be supporting the trajectory of the US dollar going forward. So we want to see what the actual data is going to be. Is it going to be just as expected, below expectation, or even beat all expectations? Then we also have the durable goods order for excluding defense, and we also have that for excluding transportation too as well. So we want to see what this actual data is going to be. So this event is coming up in about 12 hours from now. That is 12 hours, 13 hours from now, this event will be coming in. So we want to be looking forward to see what that is going to be like. Now, so as technical traders, what we are going to be doing now is to dive right into the charts to look at things from a technical standpoint. And let's see how we can actually position ourselves in such a way that we can capitalize on this move when they finally happen. So as usual, the first asset we are going to be taking on this morning is going to be the, I think we should start with the US All Sport actually. So on the US All Sports, we had an interesting buy position yesterday. In fact, we have 4 positions running right now with over 300 pips in profit on the US All Sports after price action broke out of both the $88.95 level and that descending trend line we identified here yesterday. Now, before we go into the details of what our expectations will look like today, I would like us to run through how the week started for us here in this community and what led to the idea of buying this asset. Now, if you remember vividly, we saw that we were initially selling the US All Sports after noticing a range. Remember, we had this confinement of price action between the $90.10 level and the $89.60 area during the early hours of this week. And in fact, we had a beautiful flat channel to work with, as this further emphasized the level of uncertainty at that particular point in time. Now, with the scenario we have here, you know how we do it whenever we have this kind of flat channel. We always want to exercise patience, waiting for either the breakout of the resistance line for buying opportunity or the breakdown retest of the support line for selling opportunities. And what happened here on Monday was the breakdown of that support line, as you will see here. And in fact, the market came back to do a retest of the structure multiple times to give us an opportunity to sell. And in fact, we rode the move all the way to the downside. And remember that we had multiple entries. As you will see, we had levels like the $89.30 level where we added more positions. As you will see here, we also added one more positions at the $88.95 and of course at the $88.50 area to maximize this potential move before this bullish momentum came in early yesterday morning, as we saw here. Now, in anticipation of yesterday's trading session, we also positioned ourselves for more trading opportunities where we were using the descending trend line you will see here. We had a new structure identified here during our live session as we connected a series of lower highs here, giving us a beautiful trend line to work with for yesterday. And one of our conclusions on this chart yesterday was that as long as price remains below that descending trend line, we shall continue to look out for selling opportunities. And one of the things we also said that if price does not go that far, that we will be looking out for more opportunities to sell if price slices through the $88 area. But unfortunately for the sellers, this never happened, and the only condition that we said here that will make us consider buying the US oil spot is for price action to break out both the $88.95 level and of course the descending trend line to give us a signal that we might be seeing a momentum shift at this point in time. And of course, you saw what happened here yesterday. We saw price broke out of both the descending trend line and of course the $88.95 level to give us an opportunity to buy. And in fact, if you had missed out on that first breakout of structure, the market actually came back to retest the structure to incite that uptrend continuation. And remember that we had multiple levels on this chart where we said we will be using it to maximize the potential of this bullish move. So we had levels like the $89.30, we had the $89.60, and of course we had the $90 area, which happens to be our key level to maximize this move. And for those who have been part of this profitable journey, well done and kudos to you for being on standby to capitalize on this move. Now, for those who still have a buy position running at this point in time, you do want to be moving your stop losses accordingly to secure these current buy positions. Now, where is the most appropriate area that I think that we can be moving our stop losses to based on this current structure? Well, if you look at what has been going on here, especially during the early hours of today, we saw this engulfing bullish candle spring out of that $90 area. So I'm of the opinion that anywhere above the $90 level seems most appropriate to secure this current position at this point in time. So let's look at between the $90.38 area and that's $90.10 level to secure this position. And remember that we do want to be given enough room for price action to breathe in such a way that we could have retracement into structure to incite the uptrend continuation. Once again, congratulations to everyone who has been part of this profitable journey. Now, with a well-secured position at this juncture in the market, what is going to be our next line of action? Are we going to continue buying the US oil spot today, or are there chances that sellers could take over the market and push price to the downside? Now, first of all, let's talk about the potentials of sellers here, considering the fact that we have a barrier, which is a new resistant line at the $90.80 level, and in fact, this is the highest point where price action has been for this week. Now, let's look at the structure closely. Now, if you look at this, you will see that the $90.80 level had been a seller niche at some point during the course of last week's trading session, as you will see here, becoming a barrier that has been negating the potentials of the buyers in this market. And in fact, if you look at if you go to as far back as Tuesday of last week's trading session, you saw how this area had been a strong selling niche in this market. Look at what happened here. We saw what happened here on Wednesday last week. We saw what happened around this area too on Thursday, and in fact on Friday of last week trading session, we saw our selling pressure resumed around that area. Now, it's a clear sign that buyers are always finding it difficult to break out of that zone. Now, if you look at what has been going on here in the last couple of hours, the same thing is happening. You can see price is gradually approaching that area, and in fact in this last hour here, you will see some selling pressure resume around that area. Now, the question at this point is, will this area continue to serve as a strong selling niche where sellers will continue to take over the market to push price to the downside? Or are we likely going to be seeing a breakout of the structure to give us an opportunity to buy? Now, since we are going to be talking about the sell expectation first, well, what I want to be seeing here is if the sell pressure continues right below the $90.80 level, then we might likely be seeing a chance that price will be dropping to the downside. And in fact, it also falls through with a technical expectation, as you will see here. Remember, we saw the breakout of this descending trend line yesterday, as you will see at this juncture here. So let me give a visual representation of what I'm talking about. So we saw the breakout of this descending trend line, and from a technical standpoint, when price action breaks out of a key structure such as this descending trend line in this case scenario, we expect that some point in time there could be some profit taking activity which would reflect on the chart as price dropping to retest that trend line, maybe around the $88.50 level to incite the uptrend continuation. Now, because of this perspective, we cannot ignore the potentials of sellers around the $90.80 level, as you will see that in the last 3 hours since price action got into the zone, we've been noticing some limited buy pressure around that area. Now, if we begin to see selling pressure around this area, what is it that we are going to be looking out for to be part of this downtrend move? Well, one of the first things we are going to be looking out for here is continued selling pressure around that area, or reversal patterns like double top structures, head and shoulder patterns, or rising wedge, whichever case it may be, to guide our trading decisions at that point. Now, I would like to visualize some expectations around this area. Now, for instance, we could see something like a double top structure where price rejects it, comes back into that area, and we begin to see some lower highs. Then at this point, we might likely be seeing some selling opportunities. So let's mark out our neckline and then be part of that downtrend to the downside. So this is what I'm going to be looking out for around this area to be part of that downtrend. And one thing I would like to say here is that if we are selling the US All Spot below this $98.80 level, we need to be very, very careful and ensure that we are on standby to move our stop losses to secure the current sell position, because we're still looking bullish at this point in time, considering that significant movement yesterday, and price could still continue to the upside. So if price drops and you are in a sell position, please ensure you move your stop losses accordingly, secure the sell positions so that when price begins to climb to the upside, you don't get caught up in a situation that will affect your portfolio negatively. So that is how we are going to be selling here, and I will refrain from adding more sell positions to this trade at this point, and the reason is simply because of the way buyers have been playing out in the last couple of weeks in this market. However, if price action breaks out of the $90.80 level, then I want to be looking out for buying opportunities above the structure to join or add more positions to my existing trade. And like for those who know how we've been how we take advantage of breakouts of structures here in this community, you know that we have two options. Now, the first one is for those who have been profitable so far this week. So if you have been profitable so far this week, then you can afford to leverage on some of the profits you have made to test waters around the $90.80 level to see if it's actually going to click. And if it doesn't, then you know that we are only leveraging on some of the profits we have made, and it's not going to be affecting our real portfolio. However, if you are new with us, and that is you are coming in from a clean slate, then it is appropriate that you wait for confirmations before jumping into that position, and that will look like a breakout of structure, scale down to your lower time frame. It could be the 5, 10 or 15 minutes time frame to look out for retest of structure, after which we want to be jumping into that position around that area. So these are my views here on the US All Sport for today. I do hope I made myself very, very clear. But if you do have any questions whatsoever, or you need further clarifications as regards to this current setup, feel free to let me know right in the comment section. So I will be taking the next 10 to 15 seconds to see if there are any questions whatsoever before we move right into the next financial asset on our watch list. All right. So in the absence of no questions, I want to assume that we are all on the same page, and I do hope you've mapped out these levels on your chart, as you will be needing them as a reference point to guide your independent trading decisions for today. Now, moving on to the next financial instrument. So the next asset on our watch list is the XAU USD. In fact, I will consider the XAU USD as one of the most profitable assets on our watch list for this week, as we have been selling the XAU USD since the beginning of the week, scooping significant amounts of profit on the way. Over 600 pips right now on the XAU USD, with 5 multiple entries at this point in time. And congrats to everyone who has been part of this profitable journey so far. Now, before we go into the details here, I would like us to run through how the week started for us in this community and what led into the decisions we made at the beginning of the week. So the first thing we saw here is the key level. Remember, we had our key level situated at the 1,925 level, as you will see here. And for those who have, who have been part of this session for a while now, you know how we use our key level. That as long as price remains below the key level, we want to be looking out for patterns and structures that supports the idea of selling that asset. Now, for those who don't know how we identify key levels, I would encourage you to watch my video on the XAU USD, where I did a top-down analysis on this asset and then identified a key level on the higher time frame. The link is right in the description box of this current video, so you might want to check it out after the live session so that you can have a background knowledge of how we got to this point. And the video could also serve as an educational tool in understanding how to use price action to identify potential trading opportunities on your chart. Now, after identifying this key level at the 1,925, we noticed that at the beginning of the week, price was confined within a range, and that was between the $1,926.50 and the $1,922 $2.75 area to emphasize the level of indecision in the market at that point. And of course, you know how we do it in this community. When price action falls into this kind of range, we want to exercise patience, waiting for a significant breakout retest of structure before jumping into a position. And in fact, if you see what happened here at the beginning of the week, buyers found it difficult to break out of the resistance line, as you will see that at no point in time did price action break out of the resistance line, and instead it was more of breaking down of the support line to incite the idea that sellers are likely going to be taking over the market. And with our position as we position ourselves below the support line, we had our first sell position for the week triggered at the breakdown of the $1,922.75 level, and since that moment we have been selling the XAU USD. And remember that we had multiple entries on this chart. As you will see, we had levels like the $1,915 area. We also had levels at the $1,913. We also had levels at the $1,910. And after I came back yesterday, that was in the evening, I also shared an update for those who are with me on both my TradingView and Telegram platform that we shall be looking out for more opportunities to maximize this move if price goes on to break down the 1,900 level. And as you will see, price has finally broken down of that structure. So it has been quite a profitable week for us on the XAUSD so far this week, as we have over 5 positions minimum running in profit at this point in time. Now, for those who are part of this profitable journey, well done to you for being on standby to capitalize on this move. And as you all know, the next thing we want to be doing right now, if you still have a sell position running at this point in time, you do want to be moving your stop losses accordingly to secure this current sell position. And from the look of things here, I'm of the opinion that anywhere above the 1,900 area seems most appropriate to secure this position. And of course, you do want to ensure that we have enough room for price action to breathe. So between the 1,900 and the 1,902 seems most appropriate to move our stop loss to. Now, with a well-secured position at this juncture in the market, what is going to be our next line of action today? Now, let's look at what has been going on here in the last 24 hours. Now, one of the things I would like to emphasize here is the descending trend line we spotted here yesterday. Remember, we had a descending trend line here after connecting the series of lower highs I think between Monday and Tuesday's trading session. We had some lower highs here, and we projected that descending trend line on them. Now, this trend line here still remains a key parameter in this market, as we will be looking forward to what happens here. Will price action at some point come back into that trend line to retest it to incite a downtrend continuation, or are we likely going to be seeing a breakout of that descending trend line to incite a reversal setup? Now, how do we intend to capitalize on any potential move here? Now, one of the first things I will be doing here is to identify this 1,895, which I'm of the opinion that if price does break down, retest that structure, we do want to be adding more positions to our existing trade. So we have the 1,895 level. Okay, $895.50. That's most precise there. So we do want to be marking out that level and look out for more selling opportunities if price action does break down the structure. However, if price continues to find buy pressure here and sellers continue to find it difficult to go further to the downside, we might likely be seeing a reversal setup that might gradually unfold on the chart, leading into a situation where buyers will come into this market. And considering the fact that we are looking forward to a key economic feature from the US economic docket, that is the durable goods order, we might likely be seeing scenarios that will incite some buying opportunities here. Now, how do we intend to capitalize on this, and what is it that we are going to be looking forward to on this chart for us to feel comfortable buying this asset? Well, there is a level here that I would like to emphasize, and that is the $1,902.50 area. So I would like to give this a different color instead. So let's give it a wine color and then label it accordingly. So we have hold on a second please, we have the $1,902.50 level. So we mark this level out on our chart right now, and then let's see if buy pressure will resume and then lead to the breakout of the structure. Then at this point we might be seeing some reversal setup gradually unfolding. In fact, I'm beginning to see something like a potential head and shoulder pattern if sellers find it difficult to break through the 1,895 area. So we have something like the right shoulder, we have the head somewhat like this, and we might have a situation where this continues, leading to the breakout of the $1,902.50 level, retest of structure to join an uptrend move. Now, there is a caveat to the structure. If price action goes on to breakout, retest the $1,902.50 level, we want to exercise patience. We'll capitalize on that opportunity, and then as soon as price gets back into this descending trend line, we move all stop losses, secure the current buy positions while we wait out and see how market participant will be reacting to the price zone around this area. And depending on what happens here will determine if we are going to be adding more buy position to our existing trade or getting ready to join the downtrend continuation. So let's be very careful on this one. So if we join the bullish momentum at the breakout retest of the $1,902.50 level, we want to see what happens around this area. If we begin to see sudden pressure here and we see signs that buyers are finding it difficult to break out and stay afloat of this trend line, then we will have no other choice than to get ready to be part of a downtrend continuation here. However, if price breaks out and then retests the structure, then this will be a beautiful opportunity to join an uptrend continuation. So I implore us to mark out these levels on our chart, as we will be needing them as a reference point to guide our independent trading decision. So we have key levels here which you see, and we have more opportunity to sell if price breaks down the $1,895.50 level. Remember, we said we should be moving all stop losses on the current sell position, and if price goes on to break out, retest the $1,902.50 level, we want to be capitalizing on that counter trend opportunity. And please remember that we want to be on standby to move our stop losses accordingly as soon as price action moves in our favor. So these are my views here on the XAU USD for today. It's a simple setup we have here, so let's wait and allow our structures to mature before we jump into any positions. So if you have any questions whatsoever as regards to the current setup, feel free to let me know in the comment section, and trust me, I am here and willing to be of help in that regard. So let's see if there are any questions before we move right into the last financial assets on our watch list for today. So I'll be taking the next 10 to 15 seconds to wait for questions before we move on. All right. So, in the absence of no questions, I'll take this as a confirmation that we are good to go this morning. So, we shall be moving right into the last financial assets on our watch list for today. All right. So, moving on now, the next asset we are going to be looking at now is the USD JPY, and we begin to see that buyers are beginning to struggle in this market. Though the trend is still looking very bullish, the sentiment is still looking very bullish in this market. As we can see, prices still trading somewhere right around that ascending trend line we identified here yesterday. Now let's look at the structure closely and what led to the idea that gave us that buying concept in this particular market. Now remember that we had our key level situated at the 148.500, and at the beginning of the week we saw this consolidation phase where we were waiting for the breakout of this range to give us an opportunity to trade. And of course, the breakout of the 148.500 area was all we needed for a signal that price will continue to the upside. And in fact, you will see what has been going on here. We saw price since that day has broken out of the 148.500. We also had another level at the 148.930. That was yesterday, and that one too was broken to the upside to make us feel comfortable in two buy positions. Now, for those who already have these buy positions running, and if you currently still have a position running at this point in time, I will be advising you to move your stop losses accordingly to lock in your position. Anywhere around the second entry seems most appropriate. In fact, I would like to give enough room right below. Let's extend it to like around the 148.840 to secure these current positions, as I'm beginning to notice that the buy pressure here is the momentum of the buyers here is gradually reducing. Now, why have I said this? Now, if you look at the structure closely, you will see that price, though we had a new high at the 149.150, as you will see right here, and since that moment price had been finding lower highs, as you will see here. So we continue to see lower highs in this market, which is a sign that sellers may gradually be gaining some momentum behind the scenes to push price to the downside. And in fact, if you look at what we have here, the ascending trend line we spotted at the beginning of the week appeared to have been broken and appear to be retesting at this point in time. So will this whole scenario incite a sell momentum? Well, if it does going to incite a selling opportunities, then we are going to be looking out for opportunity to sell only if price action goes on. Hold on a second. If price action goes on to break down and retest the 148.930. Now the ascending trend line has been broken to the downside, as you will see, and from a technical standpoint we look out for breakdown, retest of structure. Now if this leads to the breaking down of the 148.930, then we will be joining that downtrend scenario, and then let's ensure that we I made mention of something here yesterday as regards to the structure. Remember, we talked about the breakout of this key level at the 148.500, and that from a technical standpoint, there are chances that price could retrace back into the structure to incite another wave of bullish momentum. And if we look at the distance between the 148.930 and that 148.500, it falls within around 45 pips, which is not that significant after all. But if you are a scalper or you are a counter trend trader and you feel comfortable taking this kind of counter trend opportunity, you might want to take advantage of this move. But personally, I will hold on to see how the market will be. If the breakdown happens, I want to position myself anywhere around this area, maybe around the 148.500 or above it, to look out for structures or reversal patterns to join the uptrend continuation. However, if price continues to the upside and instead it goes on to break out of the highest point price has been for this year, and that is the 149.150, then I will be looking out for more opportunities to add to my existing trade. So this is how I'm going to be trading the USD JPY for today. Our center of focus is basically between the 149.150 and the 148.930 area. So depending on what happens around this area will determine what our next line of action will be. A breakdown of the 148.930, retest of structure could incite some counter trend opportunities into our key level for the week at the 148.500, or the breakout of the 149.150 could incite more buying opportunities in this market. So let's mark these levels out on our chart, and trust me, if we can follow through with this and allow our structures to mature, we'll definitely be profitable on this asset. So on this note, I would like to call it a day here. It has been a wonderful moment with you guys this morning as we were able to attend to three major assets, which includes the USD JPY, the XAU USD, popularly known as the gold spot, and of course the US all spot. And all of them, we were able to identify simple setups that we can use to guide our independent trading decisions for today. And in fact, I'm very confident that if we can follow through with our plan, we will definitely smile back here tomorrow when we come to review what the situation is looking like. And if you have found this content helpful and useful in making your independent trading decision, kindly support this project by clicking on the like button. Your likes are valuable to me, and in fact it also helps the algorithm push the or promote the video to a wider audience of traders who may find this content beneficial to them. And in fact, thank you very much as you do so, and I encourage you to also follow me on this channel so that you don't miss out on any of these updates I share here, and in fact this live session that we normally do on a daily basis, so you will get notified as soon as we come online. So it's on this note, I wish you all the best of luck, and for those who are joining us for the first time, I do hope you are able to gain one or two things here with us this morning. And trust me, the more time you spend with us, the better you get in understanding how this works, and eventually be able to use these informations to guide our independent trading decisions. Thank you very much, Marjon Arun. I saw your comments, and thanks for the support. I really do appreciate it. So on this note, I wish us all the best of luck today, and hoping to see you same time tomorrow, 5 a.m. UTC, 6 a.m. West African time, as we come back here again to review how well these assets have been doing, and at the same time get prepared for tomorrow's trading session. Do have a wonderful and beautiful evening, everyone. Bye-bye.